And what if I told you that the main reason for your emotional suffering is that you never choose yourself? You've spent years putting others first. Always available, always ready to help. Your phone rings, someone needs you. Without even thinking, you drop everything and rush to their aid. Once again, Carl Jung showed us that forgetting ourselves to please others is not a sign of love, but a slow process of self-destruction. But there is a way out. And in this video, you'll understand why ignoring your individuality keeps you trapped in suffering, and how to break free from this vicious cycle before it's too late. Stay with me until the end, because once you grasp this, your perspective on life will never be the same. When did you stop being yourself? Not the friend, not the parent, not the colleague. You. Not what others expect from you. Your true essence. The answer may not be obvious right away. Maybe it happened gradually, without you realizing it. Since childhood, you were told who you should be. You were taught how to behave, how to speak, how to please others. Little by little, without even noticing, you started playing a role. You hid certain parts of yourself to be loved, accepted, and recognized. But deep down, something feels off. Maybe you feel an emptiness, a sense of being lost, of no longer knowing who you really are. Maybe you have the impression of living a life that isn't truly yours, as if you were trapped in a character you never chose. This is exactly what Carl Jung called the process of individuation. Imagine a puzzle. At birth, all the pieces of this puzzle were there, complete, intact. You were whole, without filters, without masks. But as the years passed, some pieces were set aside. Why? Because you were told that certain parts of you weren't acceptable. Too sensitive? You were told not to cry. Too dreamy? You were pushed to be more realistic. Too spontaneous? You were taught to control yourself. And so on, until you became a reduced, censored version of yourself. Individuation is the journey of reclaiming these lost pieces and becoming whole again. It's a personal process, unique to each individual, where we learn to break free from others' expectations and return to who we have always been at our core. But this path is not always easy. To retrieve these forgotten parts, we must face what we once rejected. We must let go of the persona, the social mask we created to adapt to the world. But in doing so, something rises from the depths of our being, something we've avoided looking at for far too long. And this is where we meet our shadow. Imagine a mirror that doesn't just reflect your appearance, but everything you've buried deep within yourself, your wounds, your suppressed anger, your forgotten desires, your abandoned dreams. This mirror, Carl Jung called it the shadow. The shadow is not just the dark parts of ourselves in a moral sense. It's not just our flaws or weaknesses. It's everything we have learned to repress because at some point, we were made to believe it wasn't acceptable. Why do we do this? Because we're afraid. Afraid of being rejected. Afraid of not being loved. So we bury these emotions, these desires, these deep needs. We convince ourselves that certain parts of us should not exist. But the shadow doesn't disappear. It continues to exist, hidden in the unconscious, and it manifests through our daily struggles. Why do some of us always fall into the same toxic relationships? Why do we keep making the same mistakes over and over? Why do we struggle to say no, to assert ourselves, to choose ourselves? Because our shadow takes control the moment we refuse to acknowledge it. Imagine a person who all their life has learned to be nice, to not cause trouble, to put others' needs before their own. Their entire life, they've said yes when they wanted to say no, afraid of disappointing others. But this excessive kindness hides something else. Suppressed anger, a frustration that keeps growing. And one day, it explodes. They don't understand why they react so violently, why they feel drained, why they can't stand up for themselves until they reach a breaking point. This is the shadow in action. Every time we refuse to listen to ourselves, every time we ignore our real needs, we give more power to this part of us that demands to be seen. This is why we suffer. We believe we're doing the right thing by adapting to others' expectations. But in reality, we are betraying ourselves. And this inner betrayal is the real source of suffering. But here's the good news. The shadow is not our enemy. It's not there to punish us. It's there to wake us up. It shows us where we have abandoned ourselves. It pushes us to prioritize ourselves, to stop seeking external approval, and finally choose ourselves. So how can we transform the shadow into a strength instead of a burden? It all starts with awareness. Prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It's survival. If you feel guilty about putting yourself first, it's not a coincidence. Your entire life, you've been told that giving to others is a virtue, that stepping aside is a sign of love, that prioritizing yourself is selfish. And yet, look at a flame. If it burns too brightly to warm others, it eventually burns out. Can it still light anything once it's extinguished? That's exactly what happens when you forget yourself for the sake of others. The truth is, you can only give what you already have within you. How can you offer support if you are completely drained? How can you love fully if you feel empty? How can you inspire others if you have abandoned yourself? Let's take a more concrete example. When you board a plane, the safety instructions are clear. In case of cabin depressurization, put on your oxygen mask before helping others. Why? Because if you run out of oxygen, you won't be able to save anyone. The same rule applies to life. Prioritizing yourself doesn't mean shutting others out or ignoring their needs. It means ensuring you are strong enough to offer them something truly meaningful. And yet, why is it so difficult? Because we are afraid. Afraid of being judged. Afraid of being rejected. Afraid of not being loved anymore. But here's the truth. Those who truly love you will love you even more when you become fully yourself. Learning to prioritize yourself means breaking years of conditioning. It means relearning how to say no, setting boundaries, and listening to your own needs without waiting for external validation. But how do you actually reclaim your place in your own life? Prioritizing yourself is not a decision you make overnight. It's a process, a transformation that requires courage and patience. After years of putting others first, it's normal to feel fear, guilt, or even deep hesitation at the thought of changing. But this change is necessary. And Carl Jung left us powerful tools to help us reconnect with ourselves. It all starts with introspection, taking a moment of silence and asking yourself one essential question: who am I, beyond what others expect from me? This question may seem simple, but it isn't. It can awaken buried emotions, forgotten memories. Answering it means being willing to face the parts of yourself that have been set aside for too long. One of the most effective ways to do this is introspective writing. Take a journal and write without filters, without judgment, everything that crosses your mind. Your fears, your desires, your frustrations. Little by little, as you put words to these feelings, you begin to understand what you have sacrificed for others, what you have suppressed to be accepted. But understanding is not enough. You must also act. And one of the hardest steps is learning to say no. Saying no to what doesn't feel right. Saying no to unrealistic expectations. Saying no to relationships that drain you. Why is this so hard? Because we were taught that saying no is wrong. Since childhood, we've been conditioned to believe that refusing something means disappointing others, being ungrateful, or risking rejection. So, we say yes. Again and again. We accept commitments that weigh us down. We tolerate situations that hurt us. We exhaust ourselves trying to be available for everyone, except ourselves. But every forced yes is a no to yourself. As soon as you start setting boundaries, something changes. It's not a rebellion against others, but an act of self-respect. Saying no is not rejection. It's asserting your needs. It's not selfishness. It's recognizing that you have the right to exist fully. It's not about abruptly refusing everything, but about learning to listen to yourself before responding. Instead of reacting automatically, take a moment and ask yourself, do I really want to do this? Am I saying yes out of fear or genuine desire? Your body also speaks. Too often, we live in our heads, disconnected from our sensations. Yet, the body knows before we do when something isn't right. Sudden fatigue, tension in the shoulders, that lump in the throat before reluctantly saying yes. These are signals. Reconnecting with your body means relearning to feel, to listen to your intuition, to recognize these signs before they turn into stress, anxiety, or accumulated frustration. Meditation, movement, even conscious breathing can help realign us with ourselves. Prioritizing yourself doesn't mean becoming someone else. It means becoming yourself again. It's a process that takes time, but every small step matters. The more you listen to yourself, the more you respect yourself, the more you realize that your worth doesn't depend on what you give to others, but on how you honor yourself. And that's where true healing begins. But this healing cannot happen without one essential realization. No one is coming to save you. We are the only ones who can choose to change, who can decide that we deserve to exist fully. No one will knock on your door to give you permission to exist fully. No one will hand you a certificate authorizing you to be yourself. This power is within you, and only you can decide to use it. True healing begins the moment you understand that you are your own priority. This is not an act of selfishness. It is not a rejection of others. It is a return to yourself. For too long, you believed that your worth depended on what you provided for others, on your ability to be indispensable, appreciated, validated. But the truth is, your worth has never depended on anything external. It has always been within you, intact, silent, waiting for you to finally recognize it. There will be resistance. There will be moments of doubt. Some people around you may not understand your transformation. They may even try to pull you back into the role you once played so well. But this is not their journey. It's yours. And only you can decide to see it through. Throughout this video, we have explored why learning to prioritize yourself is essential to emotional healing. We have seen how we were conditioned to forget ourselves, to say yes when we wanted to say no, to wear masks to be accepted. But in doing so, we left precious parts of ourselves in the shadows. Carl Jung showed us that true transformation begins when we accept ourselves in our entirety, including the parts we have repressed. Individuation is about reclaiming our inner wholeness, stopping the cycle of living for others' expectations, and finally choosing to live fully. This requires introspection, listening to our emotions, setting boundaries, and saying no without guilt. It is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of survival and self-respect. Prioritizing yourself means understanding that we can only give to others what we have first nurtured within ourselves. So today, I invite you to apply these insights. Take a moment to ask yourself this essential question: what do I truly want? And most importantly, dare to listen to the answer, because that is where true healing begins. If this video resonated with you, feel free to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss upcoming content on personal growth and deep psychology. And if you've stayed until the end, leave a comment with the phrase, "I finally choose to exist," to show that you are ready to prioritize yourself. See you soon, and above all, dare to be yourself.